to another Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video, wherever you are, and whatever you may be doing. Thank you so much for making Ref Brandon and the Todd Family a part of your day. We always greatly appreciate it. If you jump on here live here on this Wednesday evening, feel free to comment in the comment section down below. Make sure to give the video a like, a thumbs up. If you have not yet subscribed, please do so and share the video on all social media platforms. And ignore the Elvis calendar behind me. I know it says October. I know it's not October, but my wife refuses to throw that calendar away because my wife loves Elvis, or as my mother-in-law says, Evelys. So since she loves Evelys, she will not throw it away. Hey there, Amanda. Glad to have you here on this Hump Day Wednesday evening. But since it is a Wednesday, it's time for our weekly Top 10 countdown. I try to do one of these each and every Wednesday here on the channel. I skip a week on occasion, but I've been doing this channel for 5 years now, and I've did a Top 10 countdown probably about every Wednesday except for maybe 4. And they're always a different variety of topics. It's not always football, basketball, NASCAR, or wrestling. I've done them on movies, music, holidays, vacation spots, TV shows. You just never know. Good evening, Kevin. Glad to have you here, as always, and it's always a good day. Clemson Tiger fan, but this week's Top 10 Countdown is about college football, because I saw this earlier today and I thought, you know what? This is a very important topic, because the way college football is going, if we still have college football in about 10 more years, which if we keep going the way we're going now, we're not going to, but if we do, a lot of the rivalries are going to be gone because of conference expansion and all that. So I figured there may not be many more years left to talk about rivalries, so better go ahead and talk about it now. This is from Top Tier. It's the top 10 rivalries in college football. The article listed the top 15, but of course, since it's a top 10 countdown, we're doing the top. Now, I agree with most of the games on the countdown, but I would have them probably all in different spots, and I'll tell you which one I would have number 1 if I did a top 10 best rivalries. But number 10 is BYU and Utah. Number 9, Ole Miss and Mississippi State. Number 8, Georgia and Florida. Number 7, Notre Dame and USC. Number 6, Ohio State and Penn State. Number 5, Army versus Navy. Number 4, Miami versus Florida State. Number 3, Oklahoma versus Texas. Number 2, Michigan versus Ohio State. And number 1 is Auburn versus Alabama. Now, you know, in order to have a true legit rivalry, it has to be a team that you play every year, and that's why I say a lot of these are going to go away, because even with just inside a conference now, conference play now, you're only going to play, 8 or 9 teams out of 20. So it's going to take you 2 years to play everybody in your conference. And to me, a rivalry has to be somebody you play either every year or every other year. You can't play somebody once every 10 years and call that a rivalry. That's not a rivalry, and that's why a lot of the old school Georgia and Clemson fans, still call Georgia and Clemson a rivalry, because back in the 80s and 70s, they played about every year. But now they play once every 10 years. It used to be a rivalry. It's not now. And in order to be a rivalry, it has to be 2 teams that are either always good or 2 teams that are always bad, because a rivalry is not a rivalry. It's pretty much either, right down the line or close to it. Like in South Carolina, a lot of people call Clemson and South Carolina a rivalry, and it is if you live in the Palmetto State. But outside of that, it's not, because South Carolina would have to win that game like the next 30 years to make the numbers about even. So it's been one-sided by Clemson for so long. That's not a true rivalry. It is if you live in the state, but a true rivalry can't just be inside the state. It has to be around the world. And to most people, that's not a rivalry because Clemson wins it almost every year. Even with the Gamecocks winning 5 in a row about 15 years ago, it's still completely lopsided toward the Tigers. So that's not a rivalry. Hey there, Sarver. Glad to have you here. But Michigan versus Ohio State, that game is literally called the game. So I would say, since it's actually called the game, and that's the one rivalry where most of their fans would rather win that game than win a national championship. So if you believe in the names of the rivalries, and almost all of them have a name, then Ohio State, Michigan should be number one. And no, Sarver, I am not in Pineland, Texas. I guess that's pronounced Pineland. If that's Penland, Texas, then no, I'm not there either. I'm not nowhere close to Texas, but thank you for asking. But to me, number one should be Army versus Navy. I don't care about the numbers. I know most of the time both of those teams are either bad or one of them's bad. You know, the last few years, Navy's been really good. So a lot of people don't call that a rivalry because it's two teams that are usually not very good. But Army versus Navy, first of all, it gets its own day by itself when no other game is on, which tells you how important that game is. And thank you, Salver. I figured it was Pineland, but I wasn't sure, but I'm not in Pineland, Texas. If you know somebody in Pineland, Texas that looks like me, they must be awfully good looking. But to me, Army versus Navy is number one because that's the only college football game where everybody on the field would die for everybody watching the game. So to me, on the field would die for everybody watching the game, that game should be number one. So to me, the best rivalry hands down is Army versus Navy. I don't care about numbers. I don't care about how good they are. None of that matters. When everybody on the field would die for everybody watching the game, that makes that rivalry number one. And if you don't watch that game and think about that, then your heart and mind's not in the right spot. Oh, so you're in Pineland, Texas. I thought you were telling me that you knew somebody that lived there that looked like me. I was going to say, I didn't think there was anybody in this world that's as good looking as I am. But Sarver, thank you so much for checking in from Pineland, Texas. Feel free to give the video a like, a thumbs up to the channel, and tell your friends, tell your family about the channel. Make sure you subscribe and click that bell so you'll get notified whenever I go live. And that does it for this week's Top 10 Countdown. Top 10 Best Rivalries in College Football. Any thoughts on any of this, please feel free to let me know. Let's go ahead and get our dad joke of the day in here. A shop assistant fought off an armed robber. Police are now looking for a man with a price on his head. And that does it for today's Ref Brandon and the Todd Family YouTube video. Until next time, it's Ref Brandon saying, just like in pro wrestling, life can be over by 3.